10 minutes, thank you. All right, well, thank you very much for that 10 minutes, and that's all I need, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Now, I did say earlier, well, how can you have a Freedom Summit event without exposing the electromagnetic radiation, a human rights abuse issue? And what I can say about that is the issue tells us that democracy doesn't work because it marginalises the minority. The minority I'm talking about is, in this case, is around 3% of the population who are highly hypersensitive, which means that they've had to abandon their jobs, they've had to abandon their homes, their ways of life. They can't go into town because you just can't escape. They can't escape the electromagnetic radiation from Wi-Fi, mobile phones, and now we've got the smart grid coming on. There's around 35% of the population which is actually sensitive to the radiation. They can live with it, but they can feel the radiation. And we are advised long-term though, people, because of the long-term accumulation, more and more of the population is going to become hypersensitive. Right, so that 3% is going to grow. We don't know where it's going to go. It's an uncontrolled experiment. Not that we live in a democracy anyway, it's more of a dictatorship or corporatocracy, and that the model that we've proposed for, let's say, intentional community is the one of consensus. That's what the highly evolved societies use. However, we do modify that for Westerners because they're so individual, and I think you know what I mean by that. Okay, so let's go on to, how do we work this? Okay, so that's our website, and I'm just going to go on to the next slide. We have a video available on one of these DVDs, which I've got them out in front for donation, Electromagnetic Radiation Survival Guide, and we are screening this movie again, Take Back Your Power. This time we put it into a mainstream cinema, the Cameo Belgrave, and I would be very grateful for people to look into that. I'll need minimum numbers to run the event. And we're going to run a lot of information about privacy, health, rights and safety, and a special section on fires and insurance. In other words, you've got a foreign agent in your home, and these new smart meters are prone to fire. There's a huge number of reports coming out about fires with these devices. So that's my special request to the Melbourne Freedom Summit community. Please do book in, look up the website and find the links, or grab some of these little bits and pieces. I do come from a unique perspective of 30 years of electronics engineering design, and 40 years ago, when I was still a student, I designed what might be the world's first electronic meter. Right, so I'm doing a little bit of penance here, right? Okay. Let's see what's coming up next. Yeah, so that's a pamphlet that's out the front. The one down below is some other events that we're running as well. And they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I'll very quickly try and explain what this poster is about. Now, does this pointer work? What do I press? Okay, so this graph here is from the year 2000 to 2012. Back in 2000, the signal was very low, just from mobile phones and towers. But even down here, a lot of people were getting sick. Now the signal level, which took an exponential rise in about 2006-07, is 300 times larger. There's a lot of built-up areas with this sort of level now. Now, because we're having a smart grid explosion, and all your appliances, the new appliances, will have these wireless devices in them, well, that's actually the legal limit, 3 watts per metre squared. Compare that to what it was in the mobile phone era, and compare it to the natural radiation, 0.000001 milliwatts per metre squared. This is unnatural stuff. I know it's convenient, but what price do we pay for convenience? Now, the bigger issue, oops, back again. The bigger issue is the effect on life of this radiation. It's low level, however, look up this video on YouTube called Animals Affected by Electrosmog. This is the result of animals living around towers, deformities. And this is what potentially could happen to the human race. It could be a huge epidemic, right? It's not so much you and I. We're fully grown human beings. We can tolerate some of that radiation, right? But if you've got a child and they're sitting there with an iPad on their laps, the radiation is going straight into the ovaries, right? And any damage at that really tiny level is going to be amplified trillions of times once that human being develops, right? Yeah, I've got here, Mum, why didn't you do something when you already knew what was going to happen? So we know this about this issue. The authorities know. The industry knows. Right? So let's do something about it. Okay. Yeah, what we're doing is not terribly highly evolved. Now, if you don't believe what I'm saying about this, the dangerous issue, look up the Bio-Initiative report online, and the conclusion there is that there is no safe level for this wireless radiation, you know, apart from the natural level. Even the lowest levels, I've got my electrosmog meter just out in the foyer there, and even below range, there are scientific peer-reviewed reports showing that it damages sperm. Right? So it doesn't matter about the level, apart from the natural radiation. Yeah, so what we're doing is not very highly evolved, but actually damn right primitive. And we think we're so smart with our gadgets, but our mastery over nature is unfortunately anti-life. I'm almost finished. There's some good news and there's some bad news, which I'm going to quote from the Age of Gaia. And the bad news is the Earth is undergoing a pattern of cleansing. All that belonged to the old paradigm will be swept away. Now the good news is the Earth is undergoing a pattern of cleansing. All that belonged to the old paradigm will be swept away. It's up to you to choose. It's up to us to choose. Is it going to be good news or bad news? Now I take a different I propose different commentary to most people on this issue. I'm saying the system is broken, guys. Put your energy into something positive. Put it into something new. If you're trying to fight the system, you're giving it more power. Right? There's a balance, of course. You know, we need to get like these forums, this summit, is to get information out to the people and tell us that, well, perhaps there's another way. But what I'm saying is put it into something positive, not negative. And I'll just finish the quote, the rest of that quote from the Age of Gaia. Every last vestige of pollution caused by the overcutting of forests, the wanton pillaging of resources, the destruction of water through unbalanced industrial activities such as fracking, oil and natural gas drilling, the overbuilding of heavy structures and concrete which prevent the earth from breathing, all these things and more will be swept from the planet. We hear some of you ask one another, what will be left of our world? When you say our world, you are not speaking of the planet, of the soil, the water and the air that are so vital for all life to exist here. No, you are speaking of your cell phones, your vehicles, your comfortable heated and cooled houses that you reside in, despite the fact that the other 80% of humanity barely exists at poverty levels in substandard housing and with no sewers, electricity or running water. And the final comment, well, I've already said it, the system is broken. Why waste energy trying to fight it? Put the energy into something new, such as a highly evolved, intentional community. Now notice I've put the word highly evolved in front of that. It's consciousness, right? We think that evolution we think that consciousness is a result of evolution. It's the other way around. Evolution is a result of consciousness. So the intentional community is one where everyone contributes to the whole. And I'll quote you a short Ramsar quote to finish. And I'm not a Ramsar student. There's a lot of problems with that for a lot of people. If you desire to sustain, find a piece of land and love it, it will love you back. So thank you very much.
Great. If you guys remember how I opened the show, that hearing something that's not in your bowl or is a black stone, take it out. Okay, it's just information, guys. Just quickly before we go to lunch, I know there's a lot of hungry people here. We are setting up an intentional community at Mount Warning, which is near Byron Bay, in between Byron Bay and the Gold Coast. We've been working on this for about 4 years, and over the last 12 months we've formed a steering committee. There's 9 parties in